In Karnataka, Congress government has banned hijab in exam halls. In Canada, Indian people get attacked on the streets by Khalistani supporters in Diwali celebrations. Indian military is trying to enlist transgender people to its ranks. And finally, in Gaza, Hamas headquarters has been captured by the IDF, and an interesting video has been surfaced and shared by IDF. So we'll take a look at all of that. Welcome. This is the Nikhil Chaudhari show. Now in Karnataka, the Karnataka Education Authority, or the KEA, has essentially banned hijab in exam halls. They have basically said that anything that covers your head, your ears and your mouth is prohibited in the exam halls. We all know they mean hijab here without naming hijab. But why are they doing this? If you remember last year, BJP government was in power in Karnataka and they essentially did the same thing. What they did is that they banned hijab in classrooms, where Congress have banned them in exam halls. And if you remember, there were a lot of protests against it in the media, in the ground as well. All of them were fueled by the NCP, which is the National Congress Party, as we know. And now that they are in power, they are doing the same thing. But why is that? A party that is supposed to be a champion of Muslim issues in this country, they're supposed to be main backers of Muslim people in this country, why are they doing something that is against Muslims in general or against their religion? Well, for one, it has nothing to do with religion but pure logic. But more importantly, what it exposes is the hypocrisy between the Congress party. So last year, they were protesting against it because it was convenient for them to do so. They were using it for political gain because they know that BJP is in power and they support that they hate Muslims. That's the game they play. They say that BJP hates Muslims and that's why they are banning it. Even though it had nothing to do with religion, it has everything to do with logic. And now the Congress party is in power in Karnataka. It's convenient for them to pass these laws, and that's what they're doing because it makes sense. Back then, it did not, because they used it as a political issue. Even though it was not political issue, it was purely logical issue. And now they are in power, so they are doing it. Now why they are doing it? Let's talk the actual issue here. So the reason behind this ban is to make sure that people who are supposed to give these exams are the same people who are giving these exams. What do I mean by that? Let's say a Muslim lady is entering the classroom to give an exam. Then we have to check her ID and we have to know that the person who is in the ID is the same one who is giving the exam. That should not be controversial at all, which what Congress party made it controversial last year basically. So in the exams, we have to know the person who is giving the exam is the same person who is sitting in the exam hall. And another reason for it is that yes, sometimes there are not CCTV cameras, sometimes there are not a lot of security measures available in the classrooms where the exams are being held, or the people who are giving exams tend to switch positions as well to write each other's paper. That has happened. That is a common practice where there are no CCTVs. So to stop that, we have to know who is sitting where and who is doing what. And that's why they have banned it. That's the reason why they have banned it. Not for religious reasons. Like the same thing, BJP banned it in the classrooms, not for religious reasons, but for purely logical reasons. And the last point here is to say is that whenever you're trying to enter an institution, whether it's private or it's government, every institution has its own rules, has its own set of rules. And if you want to enter that institution and practice things in those institutions, then you have to follow their rules. It's that simple. We are not talking about public space here. We are talking about specific zones. We are not talking about religious schools either. This is not about religious schools. This is about schools. This is specifically about government funded schools as well as exams. And in terms of that, you have to follow the set of rules. If it was private school, then their rules apply. If it is government school or government exam, then government's rules apply. It nothing to do with religion, everything to do with the set of regulations we have to follow. Whenever we want to enter an institution, we have to follow the rules. It's that simple. And this is not a controversial thing, by the way. Saudi Arabia has the same set of laws when it comes to examination halls and their students and the hijab. So this is not controversial, and this is from a country which is totally Islamic in nature. And if they can have that, then why can't India have it? Now in Canada, Indian people and Indian immigrants were celebrating Diwali there, and suddenly stones were being thrown at them by the Khalistani terrorists. Let's take a look at what happened here first.
Make it, take them. Yes, take them. उनको पास दे लो, पास गए सारे हुए। या, गुड। उनका तो बचे।
Now, this is after last week's speech by Justin Trudeau, where he was saying that India has broken many rules of Geneva Conventions, and then Canadians are all about, and the Canadian government, his government, is all about upholding the law. So where is this law now? There are people who are throwing stones at other people who are just trying to celebrate their festival. They are not trying to disturb anyone or anything. They are just doing their own thing. And then these Khalistani people or these Khalistani terrorists are throwing stones at them. Isn't that a crime? They're physically trying to hurt them. So where is the upholding of the law here? And these people, as you can see in the video, you can clearly see their faces. You can see who they are. So are they being charged? Are they being criminally persecuted? I don't think so. If he's so-called upholder of the law, then where is the law when it comes to Indian people in Canada? And the other thing was saying that India has broken its rules by sending diplomats back home, which happened last month. If you have been following that, you will know that we have sent 40 of Canadian diplomats back home after all what was going on between India and Canada, diplomatically speaking. And what he is saying here is that India has broken Geneva Convention. First of all, let me just say that Geneva Convention is a bunch of garbage. That's what that is. People might think that's crazy. It's not. What Geneva Convention is that West use it to their advantage, basically, because they have formed it themselves, because they are supposed to be the moral police of the world. So they have decided these are the set of rules you should be able to act under, and then we will decide what's good for you and what's good for the world. And obviously is accusing that we have broken those rules. Now the thing is, even if I don't agree with the Geneva Conventions, and most people don't in India, we still haven't broken them, because if you look at the articles within the Geneva Convention, it allows countries to send diplomats of other countries back home without any kind of justification or any kind of reasoning. That's it. That is in the Geneva Convention. So it is there, and he has just blatantly lied to us that we have broken these so-called Geneva Convention laws, which when we haven't. I think he should focus more on upholding the law, because he cares so much about it. Unless it's Indians, then he doesn't care about it. So maybe he should apply that standard evenly to all the people instead of trying to slam us and gain political points in process. So let me be very clear here. Justin Trudeau is not the upholder of the law. What he is that he's an incompetent scum who is also a puppet, and the puppet is controlled by anyone who can keep him in power. And at the moment, it's the NDP, the Khalistani terrorist party that resides within Canada, and they are helping him to be in power, and that's why he's singing their tune. That's about it. So don't believe what he's saying. He's not the upholder of the law by any means of imagination or any means of reasoning. The Indian Armed Forces are trying to enlist transgender people into our military. Here's what the Indian Express has reported. The Indian Armed Forces are looking at possible employment and opportunities for the transgender persons and the roles they could perform, while examining the Transgender Persons Protection of Right Act 2019 and its implications. So let me be very clear from the start. I do not think it's a good idea at all. Absolutely not. Now why is that? Let's explore. So first of all, I personally don't think that it's a right to serve in the military. I think it's something that every person has to earn. Now how can they earn it? Obviously they have to have some physical ability as well as mental ability and ability to handle pressure. That's what it's about. And that should be the only merit if you want to join the military or any of the armed forces. That should be the only merit. Of course, regardless of your sex or gender, it shouldn't matter whether it's your religion, your caste or anything else. That shouldn't be a merit to get equal opportunity. So I'm not against getting equal opportunity, by the way, just so I'm clear. Everyone should get an equal opportunity to try out if they are good enough to serve in our military. That is both mentally and physically. That's my point. If you have the merit, then it doesn't matter whether what your sex is, what your age is, what your caste is or religion is, or what your faith is, or what your ethnicity is. That does not matter to me. The only thing that matters to me if you are physically capable and if you are mentally capable. And that's my point. Transgender people are historically not being known for being mentally stable. Now we don't have much data here in the country. So what we have is what you have from the West. The Western countries, by the way, all the US, whether it's Israel, US or the other European countries, they have transgender people in their ranks. And the arguments for including these people into our military is that Western countries have it, so we should have that as well. So let's talk about the West and United States specifically. So here's the stat. Every 4 people out of 10 who goes through these surgeries to become transgender, they end up committing suicide. So that is every 4 people out of 10 people who do it. what's the theme? The theme is that most of these people who goes through these things and try to change their sex and everything else, they are not mentally stable. This is used to call gender dysphoria, by the way, if you look at the scientific studies, and you can search gender dysphoria on Google and then you will know what I'm talking about specifically. And this is one of the reasons why I don't want these people in our military, because in military you are going to be in battlefield, you are going to be surrounded by immense pressure. This is not an easy task. You need to be mentally 100% there, totally stable, to make sure that you can do your job, you can protect your fellow soldiers as well as your country. And if you're not stable yourself, then how are you going to do that? And that's why I'm against this. But that does not mean if there is a magical man who is transgender and who is still able to, who's still mentally stable and is able to serve like any other person, obviously that person should have a chance if he has the physical and mental capabilities, no problem. But it shouldn't be like we are hiring these people or we are getting these people jobs to complete quote unquote diversity quota. I don't want that. The only merit should be physical and mental ability. That's it. It's simple. Now let's talk about Gaza. The IDF, or the Israeli Defense Forces, has captured Hamas headquarters in Gaza City, which is a huge win for them. And after that, they have released a video on their YouTube channels as well as the social media outlets, where we basically see an IDF soldier who is giving us a tour of how Hamas uses hospitals and schools to do their bidding, how they use these hospitals to stash their weapons, to hold hostages, as well as other things, basically their terror network. So basically how they connect all the tunnels between hospitals, their HQs as well as schools, how do they operate it. They are basically released video, but the video has come under fire on social media a lot because it has some inaccuracies, it has some things which are total propagandish, some lies as well as a lot of truth as well. So we'll take a look at it now and then we'll react to it.
We are here next to a house of a terrorist. His house is right next to a school. Next to his house there is a tunnel. The tunnel is let down more than 20 meters down. This is Rantisi Hospital, and this is the place where I showed you the tunnel. Hamas used this hospital. Let's enter into the hospital. And I'm showing you the first evidence to see. I want to show you a room where we found the operational gear of Hamas. These are explosives. We have hand grenades, Kalashnikov, and then we have the RPGs, the motorcycle. They were all used in the massacre of the 7th of October. You're now entering into the room where we suspect the hostages were being held. There is a list. This list says the operation against Israel. This is a guardian list, and every territory has his own chief guarding the people that were here. The world has to understand who is Israel fighting against.
So first things first, if you remember a few episodes back I said that this war is not just about what's being fought on the battlefields, but also what's being fought on the social media and in the world of propaganda. And unfortunately, IDF has also done a bit of that propaganda in this video, but there is a lot of truth as well. So let's examine it from the start. So if you notice, the video starts, is being filmed outside something. He basically says that this is the place, this is a Hamas HQ, and how this is a school and how this is a hospital, and all of these are connected by tunnels. But then they haven't really shown us how they are connected as tunnels. Obviously they have shown us a tunnel later in the video, but we don't know where it leads. They haven't named the location where it was filmed, so that is a problem. Now this is a common fact that Hamas do actually use schools and hospitals and the tunnels underneath to do their bidding, to do their terror activity. So this is an established fact. I am not going against that. I'm just saying this specific video, because they haven't mentioned the other details of it, that might get them criticism that this whole video is a lie. And it is not. This is a common fact. But because the way it is filmed, the way it is shot, and they haven't done themselves any favors, to be honest here. Now the part where the IDF has come under fire in social media is the part where the IDF soldier is showing us a calendar. And in that calendar he's saying that these are the name of the terrorists, and these are the terrorists who are keeping these hostages in check. They have shown us how these hostages are kept. You can see the wire to get their hands and their legs in check and all of that. Yes, so he's basically showing us that how these hostages are kept, and then these are the people keeping these hostages in check. Sure, funny thing here is that IDF soldier is claiming that these are the name of the terrorist, but the funny thing that it's not. These are basically the names of the days, so Monday to Friday, that's what that is in Arabic. And the IDF soldier is saying that these are the name of the soldiers, and that's why this video has come under fire and a lot of speculation and scrutiny on social media. Now what has happened here is that obviously they have shown us a lot of truths in this video. Sure, But what happens is that if you lie about something, or if you try to manipulate people on just one point, then what they're going to do, they're going to strawman the whole thing. They're going to use the strawman argument, and what they will do is that they will say, because IDF soldier has lied about this one thing, that means the whole video is fake. And that is not the case, as we know, because it's a proven fact. We know the tunnels, we know how they use hospitals, all of that is a fact. But now all of that is under scrutiny because of this one video and this one point in that video. Of course, they also need to do more. They need to provide us more details when it comes to these headquarters being destroyed and where this was filmed and everything else, so that people will find it more believable. That's the thing. That's why the IDF and Israelis need to do better in this area. And that's the thing about propaganda in this war specifically, is that everyone is doing it. The Palestinians are doing it, the Hamas is doing it, obviously IDF and the Israelis are doing it as well. That's not a problem. The problem is it's a double-edged sword. So if you get it right, then it works in your favor. But if you do not get it right, then it backfires, and it backfires like hell. And that's what has happened here. Now people will use this one inaccuracy in this video and they will say that everything else is false. And that's a problem. So let's hope that Israel figure their shit out quickly and end Hamas quickly as well. So that's it for today's show. We'll see you in the next one.